Hi, everyone. This is the Intermediate Google Classrooms PD. In this PD, we're going to be covering a few different components that range from organizing your Google Classroom if you've got a whole bunch of things and starting to look pretty messy like this one is right now. We're going to look at grading and commenting student work. We're going to look at cleaning up the People tab and also utilizing the Google Meets feature that is involved in Google Classroom as well. So I'm actually just going to turn my camera off because when I start demonstrating Google Meets, I'm going to open up a whole bunch of different windows and I might overwork my computer with all these windows open. But just to get started here, I am assuming that everyone in this call has maybe already set up a Google Classroom. I think things, you might have one or two classrooms going and maybe you feel comfortable with the tools that you're already using and you're looking to unlock more tools and resources that are inside of Google Classrooms, or maybe you're starting to feel overwhelmed by some of the tools and you need a second look at some of them. Either way, this is for you if you find yourself in either one of those cases. Okay, first thing I want to jump into then is the integration between Google Classrooms and Google Meets. So you can see on my Google Classroom here, there are two things in the banner here. There's a class code, which you may or may not have used for students to register for your class earlier when you're setting up your class. And then there's a Meet link, and that's what we're going to be talking about right now. The Meet link is a new feature that was integrated in mid-March by Google, and it is a really cool way to get your students on conference calls, just everyone's in one place using Google Classroom specifically. So let me show how to use it if you haven't already been using it, and let me show you the features and limitations of this Meet link. So mine is right on the banner here, and if you don't already have that, the way to have it show up on the banner here is using the settings window here that looks like a gear, and we see this option here for the Meet link to be visible to students or have it up on the banner. So right now I have the link that's been generated. I have a few different options here that I'm going to cover in a moment, but it's there on the banner. That's great. I don't want to save the changes I just did. But so here's the link. As long as I have that setting where it is put on, it will show up on this banner for me and for my students. So I'm just going to enter it so you can see what this looks like. Great, and there I am. I'm just gonna mute myself so there's no echo, and I'm gonna join this call. So this call, I joined through the banner on my Google Classroom, and that's great. So I'm in here as the teacher. Now I'm gonna show you a couple different tabs here. The next tab I wanna show you is a student that is in this classroom. That is in this tab right here. So this was me as the teacher up here. This is a student in the class. You can see that the Meet link is also there. And if they click on this link, and we let it load, there I am again. And you can see that the teacher is in the call. So the teacher account here is mouse teacher, whereas I'm using my work email address to join this call. So I can see one person's already there, and that's great, and I can join it. I'm just going to mute myself and turn off my camera so there's no, I think we might have an issue of echoing. No, we don't. That's great. So I can see the teacher and the student are in the call. And your students can now, they'll always be able to, as long as you have the setting on that we looked at before up here, students will be able to enter this call at any time. You can see some of the security issues that might be available there. But I do want to show you one nice thing that's really great about this Meet link. I'm going to copy this. I'm just going to try to highlight and copy this link. Great. So remember, this tab right here, I am a student that is in this class, and I have access to this link. But let me show you something. I'm going to open up a third tab. So this first tab here, this was me as the teacher. This is me as a student that's in that class. And this third tab I'm about to open, this is just my personal email, but let's imagine you have a student who is very interested in making your life difficult and they start giving out this Meet link to their friends. I'm gonna try to join this as just a random person. Again, this is an account that is not involved with the Google Classroom I set up at all, I can join this link. So this purple-ish window here, this would be the friend that's been given the code. I've been given this link by my friend, and I can join it. But this is not the same meeting room that the teacher and the student are in. It has the same link, but Google's done some amazing magic here that it's not actually the same room, and that's really great. So again, the teacher and the student are both here. I can see both of them in this room here, but this bad actor, this student student's friend who's trying to get into my class, they're not able to join. They've been given a link that is not similar to the room that the teacher has set up. So that's a really cool feature. I'm just gonna stop staring at myself here. And that, again, that is something that's just been set up by Google. They just did it in mid-March in reaction to everything that's going on. And it's extremely helpful. You know, it really helps with kids trying to bomb or get into any of your calls. So again, that is a really helpful in terms of security for your classroom to protect you and your students. But there is still an issue here. So this is me as the teacher. I'm just going to go back into this tab. So this tab is the student that is in that class. Now this student always has this link in the banner. So you can see an issue here. It could be 1 a.m. and 2 students that are in your class can use this link to talk to each other. Not great. So let me show you something. I'm going to go back into, so this tab that I'm in right now, this is me as the teacher in that class. I'm going to go up to the settings menu here. And there's a few different options here. One thing I can do is flip this switch, and if I click save, that URL is no longer in the banner, so that's really great. There's no need for, the kids can't find that link. That's what we're looking for. If I go back into the settings menu, there's another option here. So this is the URL that we were using before. And what I can do is click this little drop-down menu here, and I'm going to reset this link. So now the URL is just changed here. It used to be a different set of numbers and letters. And if I save this, now the URL is back in this banner here, but it's a brand new URL. So maybe you're doing this every day, every week. Just setting that new URL is a good security feature. So there's still a potential issue there that is, let's say on Monday, I created a link. Students joined on Monday during a time that I asked them to do so early on. And then on Tuesday, I changed this new link. If a student on Monday did copy that URL and held onto it somewhere, they still have access to that URL and can share that with other friends in their class. So that is a security issue, but it is going to be just limited to students in the class. So that just a good note to make, that it is not 100% secure because students can still use that link with their friends in the class, but it is a significant improvement from what we saw a month ago. Last thing I want to address here is, it's really great to have the Meet link here in the banner. But one thing I like to do is if I'm going to let students know that they all need to be logged in at a certain time, I'm trying to copy it. You can copy the URL and just put it here in your stream. So, hi everyone, join this call today at 10 a.m. for instance. And then I can add a link, add that link and post it here. So now it's here in my stream. I usually don't use the stream a whole lot because it does start to get pretty messy, but you can also assign a class, make a classwork assignment using that same kind of procedure. Okay, great. So we just covered the Meet link and the way that Google Meets is now integrated with Google Classroom, which is really great. The next thing I want to cover is reoccurring events. We've been getting this question a whole lot in our Intro to Classrooms PDs. And so let's imagine an assignment that you're doing that is weekly. Every week you have kids write to their journal, let's say. The question we keep getting is, how do I take that assignment and just keep, every Monday it appears on Google Classrooms? The answer to that is there's a couple ways to do it. There's a couple of different ways to do it. Neither of them are honestly perfect, but both of them are functional. So let's take a look at both of them, and then I'm going to ask folks to kind of review and maybe even unmute yourself later to respond if you've ever tried one of these and what you might prefer. So again, I'm going to show you both of these. One thing that you can do is that you can reuse posts. So if I want to create an assignment, I can hit create. And I'm assuming everyone here has created an assignment in the past, so you can make a work that students are doing and add a document or something to it. But there's another option at the bottom here to reuse post. So I'm going to click on that right now. So let's say I have an assignment, this worksheet that I did on April 29th. What I can do is I can, what just happened there? Something just happened. Sorry, everybody. I'm in classroom. No, here I am. Sorry, things just got moved around. Okay, so again, I went to create in my classwork tab. I went to reuse post. And I can take this worksheet that I did on April 29th, and I can click a blue button over here that says reuse. Give it a second to load. And it will take me right to the create a new assignment page. And there's that Google Doc that I've used in the past, some descriptions, a title, and I can give it a new due date and assign that out to the students. I'm not going to do it right now. So that's one way to do it, is you're going to create and using that reuse post. And again, what I'm covering here is how to make reoccurring assignments. So something that happens, let's say, every Monday. So every Sunday night, you can come in and reuse a post. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that, but I'll explain that in a moment. Another way to reuse posts is what I'm about to show. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to create a new assignment. I'm going to call this one the weekly journal. Instructions. Okay, so I'll do write a journal entry every Monday. And what I'm going to do, you can add any type of document you want, but I'm going to create a Google slideshow because this will be for my ELA class. I'm going to have students once a week reflect on whatever book we're reading. So I'm just creating the journal template for them. So let's give it a little theme. I'm going to make my theme, why not this one? Hide that so I have some more space here. So I'm going to say first name weekly journal. So students can go into here, and so it's given the Google Slides have a new name based on what I put in the first slide here. I'm going to create another slide. So week one entry. And so again, I'm just making a template for students for this weekly journal that they're going to be doing. And if I go back into the other tab, which is me creating this assignment, I'm sure a lot of people here already know, but you want to make sure that you select this option, make a copy for each student. So this would be similar to me passing out a piece of paper for each student in the class, but I'm doing it digitally, so each student will get a copy. I'm going to make this for the right classroom. Due date, I'm going to make it for the end of this week. Topic, I'm going to put it in ELA. Great. Okay, so this is ready to be assigned. And I'm just giving Google Classroom a moment. Great. You can see it here in the Classwork tab, Weekly Journal. I can see 7 students have been assigned it. None have turned it in. That's great. So what I'm going to do now is go back into my other tabs. So this tab I'm moving around right now. This is actually the tab of the student that is in that class. And we can actually even see in the Classwork tab here, I'm in ELA, Weekly Journal has showed up. View the assignment as a student. And I'm going to take a look at this Google slideshow that my teacher has assigned for me. So it's got a name. I'm just going to change up the name a little bit. get Tom's weekly journal, and then put just some content in here. Hello. Great. So now the student has completed their first weekly journal. And if I go back into this other tab as the student, I can turn in this assignment. There we go. That's great. It's been submitted. And then back in the other tab here, again, this is my tab as the teacher in this class. I'm just going to refresh the page. And we should see that one student turned it in. And let's see if it worked out. It did. So one student has turned the assignment in, still waiting on the other 6. But if I view this assignment, I can provide the student with a grade if I want. I can do, I can look at the other students' assignments that they haven't even been into it yet. Now, great. It's been the end of the first week. Students have made this assignment. And now starting next week, I want them to have the assignment to write into their journal again. So what can I do? I'm going to go back into the Classwork tab. And now that I'm here in the Classwork tab, I'm looking at the weekly journal assignment. I'm going to click these 3 dots in the corner. Some people call it a snowman. Some people call it the kebab menu, but I'm going to click Edit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the due date. So now this was due May 8th. I'm going to change the due date to May 15th. I'm going to save that. And there's one very important thing that needs to be done still. So now the students will see it back, it will show up as a notification that the due date has changed. Let's go ahead and pretend that right now it's May 10th. Students will get that notification, maybe an email notification or just a pop-up in the stream, depending on how your settings work. But the issue we're going to have with this is that if I go into view assignment, this student, the Tom Jesse that turned it in before, is not going to be able to access their slideshow. So here I am as the student again. And look, my access has expired. That's because I turned in this document to my teacher. Sorry, I'm having some sign-in things, but you can see the student won't be able to edit the document until you do this. So now I'm back in the class as the teacher. And what I need to do is for this student that's already turned it in, I need to click this blue button here for return. I can do it for all students if I want, and click return. I can provide them a grade ahead of time, add a comment if I'd like. And now I am going to, now it's all set. So this assignment here, go into Classwork, weekly journal. It says 0 students have turned it in because I returned it back to that student, Tom. And now they're all assigned to it and it's got a brand new due date. So we just looked at 2 different ways to make repeat assignments. One was to use the reuse post feature. The other was to change the due date and to return the work to the students. I'll show you again if I go to view assignment and I can click the button that's currently gray but turns blue after students turn it in. I can click that button to return it back to them. Great. I'd love to hear, I know we don't have a whole bunch of people on the call, so it might be easy to get a conversation going. Has anyone attempted to do either one of these features to make reoccurring assignments and would like to share positives and negatives of trying either one of these? Please be just unmute yourself if you'd like to share.
So I reuse the post because we have certain websites that we assign for each day of the week. And I find that it's easier, instead of having to link everything, I just X out the assignments that are changed and then just update them. So I do find it to be helpful and save some time. And
so you're just creating a new assignment every time, is that right?
That's correct. I create assignment and then I reuse the post.
Oh, I see. Okay, then are you running into an issue possibly of your Classwork tab getting a bit bogged down?
No, because what happens is we made one topic that's called past posts. And so that's one of our categories, one of our topics. And then we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on Friday, we clear everything out and then reassign it fresh so that they only can see what assignments are due that week for each day of the week.
That's great. Julie, I'm so happy you said that because that's the next thing I want to cover here is I think a lot of folks probably are starting to see, I mean, it sounds like you're very organized, and that's great. I think a lot of folks are starting to find themselves in a position where your classwork tab looks a lot like my classwork tab right now, and there's a ton of stuff in it. And it's starting just getting in the way of what the students are able to do. So what I want to show you now is the best way to really handle that in Google Classrooms. Because I do have an option here to go to any one of these assignments and click on it. I can click on the edit menu here and delete it. But there's a huge issue with trying to delete it, and that is that the students' grade books aren't going to reflect the grades you gave them. So I'm just in the grades tab here, and so if I deleted this like Thursday math quiz, all these students that have been given grades and all that time I spent on it, that goes away. So you don't want to just delete an assignment. I don't know if anyone learned that the hard way like I did. But what you can do, what Julie was saying before, is, and if I scroll down this page, I'll show you. I have a section here called archived work or past assignments, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it. It's really important to create one of these, I think, right away, just to move things to the bottom of the classwork page. So the classwork page will still be quite large, but it will be organized. So this quick math brain teaser thing, assignment that I had on April 27th, I want to move this into my archived work section so that things can be a little bit clean for my math students. And the way I'm going to do that is if I click on the edit menu here, I'm going to click edit. And right now it's in the topic called math. I'm going to find the archived work topic, and I'm going to throw it in there. And now we can see, if I scroll all the way down to archived work, there it is. It's down in this section. It's also a really great thing to do. I don't think deleting assignments is ever a good idea for what I explained with grading, but also I think it's just a bad idea because there's sometimes great resources that you may have linked in some of these assignments, and the student wants to reflect back on it a month, 2 months later, and they're not reaching out to you for, hey, what was that thing? They can always go to the archived work section. So again, ahead of time, I created a topic, and I just called it old work, past work, archived work, and now I just one at a time would take some of that work, edit it, and throw it into the archived work section. And at any point, if you want to bring one of these assignments back to life, what Julie was talking about before, you can always edit it while it's in archived work and put it back into the math class or the ELA class without and then making a new due date for it. So that's a little bit of spring cleaning with your Google Classroom. One more thing, there's one more topic I want to cover before I start looking at some of the questions in the chat, and then I'll open it up for folks to be able to just ask some questions, and that is looking at grading and commenting on students' work. So let me find an assignment here. Actually, the weekly journal will be a perfect example of this. So I'm still logged in as the teacher of this class, and I want to take a look at some of the students' work. I'm sure a lot of folks have been providing grades. Google Classroom does a really good job of just showing you, when you hover over these different students on the left here, you can provide grades very easily. So let's give this student an 85 out of 100. Saves it, they can see on their end, it's fantastic. But let's take a look at commenting on student work. So I'm just going to click into the student's assignment. I'm going to give myself a full screen here because I think everyone's been able to sign in already. And so I'm looking at the student's work here, and I can see what they wrote. They wrote just hello for their week 1 entry. Now, if you've never used the commenting feature in Google Drive, really, it's across Google Drive, but it is incorporated into Google Classroom here. Really great way just to mark up what the student's done. So I can do a comment. Okay, provide a comment. So I usually just highlight what I want to look at, right click, and click comment. And I can say, what is this? It's not a great, it's not really great entry. So I can comment it. And this is really great. You know, student will see this immediately. They'll even get an email notification of it. But one thing I want to share is I actually just got a notification because I'm commenting on my own stuff here. But the one thing that's a little frustrating here is creating a new comment every time. You know, any teacher is going to have a set list of common things that you tend to use. And that is a really cool feature called the comment bank that I want to look at right now. So there's actually a little icon for it here, comment bank. And there's some common things like check spelling, please expand here. This is not done, fix this. I'm going to add to the bank. I'm going to say add punctuation once I learn how to spell. I don't think I spelled it right, but it's all right. There we go. Add punctuation. And so this is now this is something that I'm commonly telling the students over and over again, and I'm sick of commenting add punctuation over and over. So what I can do is, now that I'm looking at a student's work, I can highlight what I want to comment on. I'm going to right click and select comment. And I'm going to use the hashtag key, so Shift and 3. And there is my comment bank. So it's really great. I can just now, from my list, I just did hashtag, I select add punctuation, comment. And that is true not just for this student. That is, again, I'm getting notifications because I'm commenting on my own work. For any student in the class, for any assignment, so I'm going to look at this student's Google Slides for their weekly journal. And even though I made that add punctuation feature in my comment bank on that other student, I can highlight this text here, right click, comment, and if I hit hashtag, there's my comment bank again. And this carries over not just for this assignment, but for all assignments that you have in your Google Classroom. Great. I just want to make sure I'm covering everything that I wanted to cover in here. So last thing I want to look at here is I'm in the teacher view. That's good. The grade book. If you've been using Google Classroom for a little bit, I'm sure you've gone over to the grades section here and just taken a look at some of the things that are here. You know, nice, easy way to be able to just type in grades for students immediately. You can also just click on the student and see all of the work that they've turned in. So there's some missing work from this student, assigned work, and I can click into any one of them. So weekly journal, here's that Google slideshow. So that's really great. Yeah, this incredibly useful tool. One thing I always recommend with it is that even if a student has something that is missing, so for instance, this student Shalene here hasn't turned in this assignment, I can go to this assignment, and even though they haven't turned it in, I can click on their work here and see everything they've done. Because you're definitely getting students that are doing work but not quite completing it, but not turning it in to you. They're not selecting that little option that says turn in, and it becomes very frustrating. But you know, when it's the due date, even if the student hasn't selected turn in, you can still review their work. Excellent. Last thing, another thing I want to cover is back in the homepage for this classroom. I'm going to go to the People tab. A little bit of spring cleaning never hurt, and I would say you might be in a case, I know I found myself in this case before, where I have two students with two different email addresses, or two students for whatever reason that are the same student in my class. You can always go to the People tab, and you can email the student directly. You can go to this, you can select the student, and there it is, actions. I can remove the student from my class if I want to remove them. So, you know, keep that in mind. What I would do is, if you have duplicate students in your class, I would go to the grades book, find the two duplicate students, and make sure that all this, you might have a situation where a student has done this assignment in one account and then this assignment in another account. Make sure you combine them all into one row, and go back into the People tab, and then remove the duplicate student that you might have. Okay, next thing I want to cover here. So just covering as many things as possible. We took a look at this settings menu before, some great things that you can do in terms of turning on and off the Meet features. One other thing that I like to do though, because I think the stream just gets so busy, is I like to turn off the notifications for classwork in the stream. So and the way I do that here is classwork on the stream. I look at this drop-down menu. I can have, every time I make a classwork assignment, it will get posted to the stream. But again, what I like to do is I like to hide that notification so that if I make a classwork assignment, it doesn't show up in this long, unsorted stream. I tend to try to avoid using the stream as much as possible, just so my students are used to looking at the classwork tab. And then next thing I want to cover, so there's a setting menu up here, but there's also another settings menu, and I can get to that settings menu using the 3 lines right here. That's called a hamburger menu. And in this settings menu, the feature I want to show you is the feature to be able to limit the amount of emails you might be getting. Because if you're experiencing too many emails, that's very common. So I'm going to go to the settings menu here, and you can edit the amount of emails you will receive. So right here, I have it set. I can do this top toggle here. If I turn this off, I'm not going to get any emails from my Google Classroom now, or at least from this classroom. You know, I have a few classes set up, so these ones I still get emails from. But for this classroom, I'm not going to get any emails. I check, if you're the type of person that's checking the Google Classroom every day, maybe it's best to just turn off all emails. But you can also get more specific in the type of emails that you'll get. So late submission of work, I can turn that toggle on. Invitations to co-teach class usually doesn't happen a whole lot, so I'll turn that one on. Come down here a little bit, and I can even just edit, which classes I'm going to receive all these notifications for. So there's a lot of great features for you to do here. I also recommend showing students this feature so they can be aware of the type of emails that they can get as well. Okay, so it's 4:37 right now. I've few things that I'd like for folks to do. One thing is, I'm just going to back into this classroom here. One thing I'd like for folks to do, if you do not have any questions, if you're anything like me, you might have been procrastinating some spring cleaning for some time, and I'm going to highly recommend you take the next 20 minutes to do some digital spring cleaning. Go into your classwork tab and move things into an archived work folder, or topic, I should say. Go into the stream and remove some of these topics by clicking on the 3 dots and deleting them. If you have duplicate students in the People tab, go ahead and combine them by combining the grades into one row and deleting the extra student. There's a lot of stuff. I think if you've been using Google Classroom since this whole thing has started, and it's been a month, you've got a lot of extra stuff piling up. And please take 20 minutes to organize that. Another thing I want to ask for people to do is to ask questions. So I'm going to look into the chat right now to see if there's some, looks like Ivan's been helping answer some questions, but I just want to make sure that I address some questions folks might have, and I'm happy we have 20 minutes to do so. So again, either listen to me answer some of these questions or do some spring cleaning yourself. So I'm seeing an issue that I'm finding. An issue that I'm finding is that pre-assigned lessons Friday for the following week, and students are not being assigned those lessons, and I have reassigned things the day that it was supposed to be assigned to them. Does Google have an idea of helping this? So Ivan's answered this. Creating an assignment, make sure you're specific on the due dates. You add the time that it's due and everything like that. So thanks for that question. Oh, see some feedback here. Okay, sorry, I'm just going through the chat right now. It seems that we have an issue where the assignments are being made, they have due dates, but there's an issue here that students aren't really seeing the assignments. So just to show it on my screen here, so if I have this Thursday math quiz, and I go to edit here, I've given this assignment a due date. I've made sure it's for all students. It's in the right topic. The question here that students aren't receiving this topic, either there's an issue of students not being in a class, or, and I think this is entirely possible, there is a bug with Google Classrooms, I would say. Google Classrooms has been going through a major rehaul over the last month. Speaking with someone from Google recently, actually the NYC DOE accounts is now the biggest the biggest account that Google Classrooms had. We added over 1 million students and 75,000 teachers to Google's workflow in the last month. And I've been told that there's bugs that exist because of all the changes that are happening so quickly. So if you're seeing an issue, like an assignment's being made and students aren't receiving it for some reason, it is possible that this is an issue with Google adapting to this growth in such a short period of time. Things I might suggest, emailing students directly, maybe even using the stream to also post it there. Say, hey, if you didn't see what's in the Classwork tab, here's a link to it, putting that in the stream. I know that's not a great, you'd hope that there's not bugs, but it is possible and it does happen. Is there another question in the chat here? Is there any way that a topic can be invisible to students? Great question. Not to the best of my knowledge. So if you want to make a topic called, archived work, old work, no. I think you actually it's just, if you create a topic, it is there for your students. However, and I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this, a reason that I've wanted to do this feature in the past is because if you're creating work but you don't want students to see it quite yet, I do want to show you a feature that you can use to make sure that students don't see that topic yet. So if you are, let's say you got an assignment that you don't want students to see till Monday, but right now it's Wednesday and you got time to create it, what you can do is, so I'm going to create a new assignment. So I'm going to call this sample assignment May 5th. What you can do is delay when you assign this work. So up in the top right-hand corner, you might just be clicking assign right away. But if I click this down arrow here, let's check that off, I can schedule an assignment. So this assignment, now that I've, again, I have time on Wednesday for something I want to release on Monday, I can schedule this to be released on May 11th. And then it won't appear for students to view until that time that I schedule it. So may not have been your direct question, but I think it's a really good way to prep for your work. Okay, another question I see. You return the homework so you can reassign it. Do you always press return so the students can get the grade? Let me just go back into this weekly journal assignment to answer that question. View assignment. So what I did before was this student, Tom, submitted the work, they turned it in to me, and I provided a grade to them. I also returned the work back to them so that they can continue to work on it again. But you do not need to hit that return button for them to review the grade. The moment that I typed in 85 out of 100, and I'm just going to go into my student view. So again, that's not it. There it is. Here's my student view. And I want to go back to the home page here. The student should be able to go into Classwork, view assignment, and get their grade. I'm not seeing the grade. The answer is no, you don't need to click return for a student to be able to see their grade. I'm not seeing it at the moment, but I wouldn't have, I actually did press return. So students can see their grade before you click that return button. Another question in the chat, what would be beneficial for Classwork, for the Classwork tab would be collapsible folders, so not everything is seen at once. Lena, I couldn't agree more. I wish that Google would implement that feature. So in the Classwork tab, the issue we're having here is, it's really great that the assignments collapse because we get to just see the names of them. But one thing that doesn't exist is to be able to collapse all the math folders so that you don't see that line there. My suggestion would definitely be, I'm just going to open up another menu here. First day of Google Classes. Google Classroom. Just want to find it here. It's this Teach Center, Teach with Google page that they've set up. And I would highly recommend, if you have a suggestion for Google Classrooms, to go to, oh, I meant to go to the Communities tab. And just letting it load for a moment. And to start talking in some of these chats here, talk to them on Twitter, connect with a peer, use some of these features that Google sets up to give them feedback. I can't stress this enough. Google is listening to teachers now more than ever. If you write to someone at Google, a human being will listen to you and will potentially act on it. I'm going to put this link in the chat because it is a really great resource. It's a new teacher center that Google has set up. And actually, I think I'm even going to put another one in. Teach at home Google. Teach from home. That's what I'm looking for. This page that I'm pasting in right now is a really, really great resource that Google created at the start of this whole pandemic, with just some more resources and tutorials for you, and different ways to connect with folks that might be using some of the similar tools as you. Really great resource, teachfromhome.google. So the link is in the chat. I'm just going to go back into the chat now to look at some more questions. Again, if you're doing a little bit of spring cleaning on your classroom, that's fantastic. If not, I'm just going to keep answering questions in the chat. Question we have here. I have a co-teacher and we give comments on the work. That way we both get the emails for all of them. So we give the comments on the post. Okay, that's actually an answer. Thanks, Julie. You were answering a question before. So yeah, if you have a co-teacher in your classroom, yeah, you both have the same access, the same rights, the same ability to do anything as the other one in the class. I think the only thing a co-teacher can't do is delete the class, and only the person who created that class can do it. Can you review again how to put topics together, or should I just take off the topics to combine the folders? So let me look at that. If I go into the Classwork tab, so if you want to create a new topic, so I have an ELA topic, a math topic, a computer science topic, up here, this blue button at the top, if I click on it, I can always create a new topic and start moving work in and out of it. So let's say I have something in the math section here, and I want to move it into the computer science section. I could take Friday math quiz. I'm going to click the three little dots to edit it. And what I can do here is change it from the math topic to the computer science topic. And I'll save it. And we should see it's now out of the math topic and it's down to the computer science topic. Another thing I can do, is I can take it and I can just drag it around. This is an incredibly easier way of doing it. So if I take this Friday math quiz, it was due April 24th. It's been too long for students now, then it's just starting to clutter up the Classwork tab. So I'm just going to click and drag it all the way down to the archived work section. So just real nice, easy way to organize your work in the Classwork tab. Okay, going back to the questions in the chat. Okay, see people answering questions for each other. That's fantastic. Is it possible to schedule an assignment and to post it for other classes? It is. So let's do this. If I create an assignment, I can post this to any class I want. So this one can be assignment for all 3 of my classes. And so students can go and do something. So what I can do is I'm going to put this in the computer science topic of this class. It's worth 100 points. It's going to be due this Friday. I'm assigning it to all students in the Mouse Open Projects class, but I can also assign it to all 3 of my classes. So student, if I have a period A class, period B, period C class, all three of these classes and all the students in all those classes, I'm going to assign it right now, are going to get that assignment. Good question.
It's okay to assign. I mean, for scheduling for later. I'm having the problem with scheduling for more than one class at a time.
Oh, thank you for that. I've never attempted that before, so let me give it a shot. New test.
Yeah, I had the same question because as co-teachers, we do that a lot, and there's no way to schedule.
Take a look at that. There's got to be something going on. You know, if this is grayed out right now, this is not an error. This is definitely, there's some sort of issue that comes along with doing that. So if I try to assign it to 2 classes in the future, it is being grayed out. My best estimate as to why that's happening is it would create an issue on the back end of what Google is creating, so that trying to schedule it will only mess up something else that might be going on in the class. So I think the unfortunate answer there is it's not possible. Perhaps someone at Google might be working on it at the moment, but I actually don't know. So I'm going to keep going down the list here of questions. I'm a co-teacher, so yep, so I'm seeing the same questions. So sorry, there's no good answer to that one, besides it doesn't exist. Is there a way for students to know how many students have opened an attachment? No. So let's see. So if I create an assignment, let me find an assignment that has something attached to it. We'll use that weekly journal that I made before. And if I go to view this assignment, so there is no way to see what students have just opened and viewed and looked at an assignment. I can only see their edits, unfortunately. If I use this open folder to view assignment here, yeah, unfortunately, there's no way to just see that they physically, clicked on that link and looked at it. There's some great add-ons to Gmail that actually do things like you can see how many, if you send an email out, you can see how many people have actually clicked on the link and used it. If anyone's interested, it's not working within Google Classroom, but if your goal is to send something to your students and see how many of them looked at it, I'll share with you. I don't want to dig into it too much, but it is a Gmail add-on called Yam that I've used in the past. It's nice and free. And what this does is actually you can send out an email and then it will give you a spreadsheet and it will tell you whether or not anyone has, 1, opened the email, 2, clicked on a link in the email, and will give you a time at which they opened it. So again, I don't want to go into it right now because it is not related to Google Classrooms, but it is something that would plug into your Gmail account or your school account that you're using to send emails. And we'll kind of give you a weird little feature to spy. Spy is not the best word, but spy on the students who might be opening your emails. But that would not be working in tandem with Google Classrooms. I'm seeing someone has sent tons of suggestions to Google. Would you like to share where you have done that? Is there a specific forum or is there somewhere in this Teach from Home page that you have shared some suggestions with Google? Because I'm always interested in hearing how folks are reaching out to the Google Education team best. So I'll keep an eye out.
So I've done that before also. When you're in Google Classroom, on the bottom left-hand corner, there's a question mark.
Ooh, there we go.
And if you click that question mark, you can type in the concern that you're having, and it also takes a screenshot of your screen so that they can look into more, I think, the issue that you're having.
That's great. So do you usually use Report Issue, Help Center, or Help Community?
I've done Report Issue, and I believe that's when it takes a screenshot of your screen. So I also had the issue where, so on Friday, I upload all of the assignments for my entire classes. I have one class. I'm a classroom teacher. And what I noticed that as I've gotten complaints from parents like, oh, I have nothing assigned. So I'll set the due date. I set the time to be released, going live is what I call it. And somehow it's random. Sometimes 10 of the kids will have assignments, sometimes only 6. So then I have to go back and reassign it to the kids, which makes your grade book look like a big mess.
I'm sure that's a nightmare, yeah. And are you sending them all out at the same time, or scheduling them for the same time?
Yeah, so every Monday they get something released at like 8 a.m. and in the afternoon they get something released a little later in the day. But I only do, so like I do that one assignment for Monday and then the second assignment for Monday, and then the same thing, 2 assignments for Tuesday, 2 assignments for Wednesday. So our STEM teacher, who knows a lot about Google Suite, this is what she's had me do, and it sort of worked, but it's a pain in the neck. So like 5 minutes after I release it, that's what I call it, after it goes live or whatever, it's assigned. I go on, I look, making sure everyone has it, and whoever doesn't, I have to edit the assignment, and then I only select the kids who haven't been assigned it, save it, refresh, then go back and reassign it to all students. And sometimes I have to do that a couple of times. It eventually solves the problem, but it's quite annoying.
Yeah, and you've got all students selected, right?
That's correct, the whole class.
My best suggestion, when you're releasing the assignments, you're saying you're doing it different times of the day?
Yes, so we'd go live at noon. So let's say we're doing our math lesson live. We won't assign the independent practice until after our live session, so they won't do it before our lesson.
Okay.
But the other things like the reading lesson, the phonics lesson, and the sight word lesson, those are together in one assignment, and they all go live at 8 a.m. They have like slideshows built in. I guess that's what the issue is that the slide attachments are not always there. I guess that's what's missing.
My suggestion to you would be, and this may work, this may not work, this is what I would try. I think that it's very likely that we have a lot of teachers on Google's, Google's definitely getting overloaded, Google Classroom server where everything's living. And my best suggestion is to maybe assign, if you, here, let me make it a sample one. When you click for schedule, send it at like 8:05 or 7:55 or 7:59. My guess would be that the Google server is getting overloaded and is just getting really confused. And if we got 1 million teachers across the country trying to assign something at 8 a.m., that might be causing some errors. So that's my best, I don't know, trying to debug here.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. I see a question here. With that Google, the extension, the one that I showed you, it was called YAMM, Y-A-M-M. Let me just find it again. How did I look it up? Gmail extension. YAMM. So this extension I was talking about before, YAMM, it plugs right into your email and is free. It needs you to have a Gmail account, but it doesn't matter what your students are using. I use this a whole lot at my job. I'll send out just notifications for teacher trainings coming up, and I'm always curious to see who's opening that email because it's usually a good guide as to who's going to show up on the day of the PD. It doesn't matter if that person's using a Yahoo account, AOL account, whatever. On my end, as long as I have this downloaded into my my Gmail, I'm actually able to just see how people are interacting with it. Okay, everybody. So I hope some folks had a chance to do some spring cleaning on their Google Classrooms. I hope folks learned something new, or at least maybe got some new tips for things that they can do for Google Classroom. But with it being the end of the day here, I'm going to let everyone go here 2 minutes early. And please, again, if you didn't sign in at the beginning of the PD, I'm just going to put this link back up here. Using this URL here, I'm just going to copy and paste it in. Please make sure that you do. And again, you'll be receiving CTLE credit for this PD, and you should be receiving an email on June 1st with just that certification. Question I see here. So bye, folks. Thanks for joining us. I'll keep answering questions as I see them in the chat. I just want to make sure I address them. I've been organizing and creating. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I've been organizing, creating new weekly photos into my drive and moving the week's post so that my drive doesn't look crazy. At this time, there's a way to post a folder on the stream so that kids can't see each other's works. So yeah, I think this is a feature. So the question is, kids are seeing each other's work, and the stream is getting quite busy. I don't believe there is a new feature. I would definitely use that tool that we were just looking at in the bottom left-hand corner, making suggestions to Google for a new feature. The help community is also great. I can tell you firsthand, I know that the help community, there are plenty of people who work, developers, coders who work at Google who are monitoring that help community closely. And again, they are listening to teachers now more than ever. So I think those are great resources. So thanks again, everyone. I'm going to end the recording and then end this call.